Carsten, good to catch up. Just in terms of the market at the moment and looking at Germany, I suppose, what are some of the key trends that you're seeing influencing the market?
Obviously, it's post-corona, so people are digesting what just happened or what did not happen actually. So I see a market that is growing, a very strong market. Actually, we haven't seen much of it anyway in the crisis, but we see a concentration on core office assets because people are optimistic that we will all go back to offices, maybe not 5 days per week, but on a certain days. So office space and good office space is needed. I think that's one trend. Still very high prices for core office. Then the other sectors that are in, obviously logistics for good reasons was in before, but nevertheless the pandemic showed how important logistics is. And then we see resi still and more healthcare, or everything that is related to health, well-being, aging, whatsoever. So these are the mega trends that I see and that are being reflected in the real estate market.
And in terms of challenges, there's a lot of discussion around inflation and those kinds of things. What are you seeing, and are those influencing the German market or not?
I mean, I think inflation has been not an issue for some time. Maybe it has been overlooked in the last couple of months, but it's now key. Even if it's maybe a bit higher now than it will be for the long run, it's back. It's certainly back on the agenda and needs to be back on the agenda for real estate as well. And actually, if you look closer at the lease agreements, and that kind of would drive money into resi and obviously core as well, core office, you see that the majority in core offices or resi are nicely hedged. The leases are nicely hedged against inflation because they cover it, so they can, on an annual basis, they can increase the rent by the inflation. So actually that kind of provides for a nice hedge, not so much in other sectors, maybe as in retail or others. So actually investors have to have a closer look at the lease agreements themselves and the respective clauses covering the inflation.
And is that sort of more relevant for some sectors over others, Carsten? Where's that? Because this is presumably something that people won't have needed to look at for the past, 5, almost maybe 10 years.
I think it is common in resi lease agreements. They are somehow hedged against inflation, either by step-up rents, or you can increase the rent by inflation, but it's a typical element of a core office lease that the lease agreement provides for clauses saying that you can increase the rent by the inflation, so on an annual basis. So that is very good. It can be more problematic for example, retail leases, where sometimes the tenants were strong and could negotiate like hurdles that you kind of have to meet before you increase the rent. So it's more problematic there, and then you, on the long run, lose money over time. So yes, have a closer look at the leases themselves.
Great. Really interesting to catch up. Thanks very much for joining us, Carsten.
Thank you very much, Richard.